We are committed to continuously upgrade our facilities and displays. In the recent past alone, a new General Christian de Wet Hall has been established. Here, personal artifacts that belong to this famous Boer general are on display. The Emily Hobhouse Hall now includes a scale model of a concentration camp. The intricate detail with which typical camp life is being depicted is astonishing. Exhibits portraying the life and times of Paul Kruger and M.T. Steyn, respectively, the former presidents of the Transvaal and Orange Free State Republics, have likewise been added. A new weaponry exhibit allows visitors the opportunity to observe all the famous rifles and handguns of the war. To present a balanced view of the conflict, exhibits on lesser-known aspects of the war such as joiners, these were Afrikaners fighting on the side of the British, and controversial executions are now also available. Another highlight was the opening of the Solplaatjie Hall, which is aimed at acknowledging the involvement and suffering of the black community in the war. Most visitors find this newly depicted dimension of the war enlightening. Viewing these rare photographs for the first time often invokes a deep emotional response in many visitors from the black community.
We thought this was a Boer museum and it can only be useful to African-speaking South Africans. But what I've experienced today, having looked at the Solplaatjie Hall, for example, that black people were involved as well. It was an eye-opener in a number of respects. It's one thing to be taught history, that this and this happened in 18 or 19 what, but to actually see the visuals of what happened, and it became a very emotional experience at times. The core message that you live with in that hall is the one of reconciliation, that this is what happened, this was a war that hit everybody. The misery, it's something that anybody who sees that can decide inside themselves that we can never afford another war again. It was an exploitation of everybody.
We have recently erected additional memorials on the grounds of the museum. This granite structure commemorates the establishment of the first white and black concentration camps more than 110 years ago. Another memorial is dedicated specifically to the concentration camp in Bethuli in the Free State, which had one of the highest mortality rates during the war. This memorial includes the statue of an angel from the camp cemetery and a poem by the well-known Afrikaans poet Tertius, in which he urges the Afrikaner nation to forgive and reconcile. We assist academics and researchers, both local and from abroad, with inquiries about the war. Our library includes numerous scarce and unique sources in the form of books, articles, diaries, reports, and other official and personal documents. Since research is a primary function of the museum, we have also published several prestigious books on the war.
One of the recent publications of the museum, called The Suffering of War, tells the story that war causes only suffering and has no benefits for anybody. This theme has been developed to such an extent that it has become the vision of the museum. Another recent publication about exiles in foreign countries tells the story of the prisoners of war of the Anglo Boer War. All these books are richly illustrated with photographs.
We have developed an extensive database on POW and concentration camps in the war. Therefore, numerous members of the general public approach us for information about family members who had been involved in the war. Through the years, we have developed a collection of about 20,000 visual images related to the war. The task of preserving and archiving these precious photographic images requires special commitment and meticulous attention to detail. A process of converting thousands of photographic prints to digital format has commenced. National and international television crews producing documentaries and dramas related to the Anglo Boer War often approach us for assistance. From time to time, we also produce documentaries on DVD depicting facets of the war, for example, the famous Battle of Bloemfontein. A children's museum and educational center was recently established on the premises. Here, recreational activities are presented on a regular basis. During events such as open days, older children can partake in educational programs focusing specifically on the experiences of children during the war. For example, the games children played at the time, and in particular, the suffering of children. The aim is to raise general awareness about this devastating war amongst the youth. School visits start at the Children's Museum and Educational Center. Learning outside the confines of a classroom about the suffering of all our people, young and old, is usually the highlight of every school visit. Linking up wherever possible with other important events in our community forms part of our drive to remain socially relevant. For example, since Bloemfontein was a host city during the 2010 FIFA World Cup tournament in South Africa, we produced an exhibit and informational DVD highlighting the role of soccer in the Anglo Boer War. This initiative generated much interest among soccer supporters and television news teams from all over the world. We often synchronize our programs with national days and celebrations of various kinds. For example, during recent National Women's Day celebrations, an impressive new quilt was unveiled at the museum. This quilt depicts in amazing detail the role and experiences of women before, during, and after the Anglo Boer War. An art and antiques market is presented periodically. At our annual Christmas market, visitors can buy just the right presents for loved ones, while also using the opportunity to visit the museum. The War Museum is well en route to establishing itself as an institution of excellence, whereby the inclusivity and suffering of all communities during the Anglo Boer War are depicted. We are immensely proud that our museum has become a historical landmark in South Africa. We invite everyone who wants to understand this important part of South Africa's past and its impact upon our present and future to pay us a visit.